Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on data migration in S4Hana using the LTMC tool for foreign exchange, direct quotation, and indirect quotation. About the trainer, my name is Vijayalakshmi Balakrishnan, and I have around 29 years of experience in SAP, data migration, project implementation, and support projects. So I've specialized in data migration, BPC, FICO, BW, and testing related areas of SAP. Each challenge is an opportunity. Make the best use of it. Change is the only word that doesn't change. Everything else changes. The best thing you can gift another human being is building their self-confidence. Teach them how to fish and don't fish for them. So in this session, we'll be seeing exchange rates, master data upload into the T-code table using LTMC tool. And we will be seeing the direct quotation method as well as the indirect quotation method. So let's see what an exchange rate is. So in finance, an exchange rate is a rate which one country or one currency will be exchanged for another currency. So if you want to buy 1 GBP sterling pounds, 1 sterling pounds, then you have to pay 102 Indian rupees to get 1 sterling pound. Now, the currencies are most commonly national currencies. So each country has its own currency. Okay, but there might be subnational currencies or supernatural currencies. So what's subnational and supranational currencies? We will see in a moment. So in simple words, subnational means one country has many currencies, and supranational means many countries have one currency. A perfect example of many countries having only one currency is euro. So many European Union countries have one single currency, which is euro, which is common amongst all those countries, which they've entered into an agreement and they've forfeited, or they have said, we're not going to follow our original individual countries' currencies anymore. In order to build a stronger economy, we're going to all follow one single currency, and that's a key decision which is taken by all the European countries in the European Union, and they have switched over from their individual currencies to a common currency known as euro. So that's a supranational currency. Whereas if one country has more than one currency in usage, then that's known as a subnational currency. And an example for subnational currency is Hong Kong. Hong Kong was released or was given autonomy or special powers by China in 1997. So as per the rules or the powers given by China to Hong Kong, Hong Kong can have its own currency. So it's following the Hong Kong dollar, but it is pegged to the US dollar. What does pegged means? Pegged means as soon as the US dollar value fluctuates, based on that USD fluctuation, the Hong Kong dollar value will also fluctuate. So it is pegged to that. So it is directly dependent on the fluctuation of the US dollar. So that's why we call it as a subnational currency. So if you just Google, and you will get more information about Hong Kong and its subnational currency, why they've gone for it, and all those things. But for this session, we just need to know that currencies can be two different types, which is supranational and subnational. Okay. Now, in SAP, we have a separate table for currency, and that is TCUR, and TCURR. And how to view the data in the TCUR table? That's using T code SE16. You can go into the selection screen, select the currencies which you want to view, and you can enter into the TCUR table and view those data. All right. Now, another key point which we have to note is that there are many websites which gives you the exchange values. For one of them is xe.com. So I've gone into this xe.com website, and I want to know how much $100 is from USD to euro. And if I click on convert, then it will give me the details. So 100 US dollars is equal to 95.21 euros. Okay, which means 1 USD is equal to 0.952151 euro, and 1 euro is equal to 1.05025 USD. Okay, assuming my local currency is euro. Okay, so the direct method, there are two methods, which is the direct method and the indirect method. The direct method looks at the other currency in relation to my local currency. Okay, it looks at how much the currency which I want to convert to, in that respect, it looks at my local currency. But in the indirect method, it looks at how much of one local currency of mine equal to the target currency in which I want to translate to. So let's take this simple example. So my local currency is euro. Okay, so in the first, in this column, the first line is the example for direct quotation, and the second line is for indirect quotation. Okay, so the first line, direct quotation, is read from left to right, so which is left to right as before, and 100 USD equals to 92.8193993 euros. So 100 USD, which is the from currency, to 1 euro. So here 100 USD is equal to 92.81933 into 1 unit of euro, which is equal to 100 USD is equal to 92.81993 euros. This is the direct way where I look at the target currency, and with respect to the target currency, how much is my local currency valued. Okay, in the indirect quotation, I give first preference to my local currency. 1 unit of my local currency is equal to how much of the target currency. So in the second line, indirect quotation is read from right to left, which means right to left, because the local currency is always the two currency. 1 euro equals to 1.08238 USD. So 1 euro is equal to 1.08238 USD. Okay, so this is the indirect method. Okay, so in the direct method exchange, 1 USD is equal to so much of here divided by 100 is equal to 0.292819 euros. In the indirect method, 1 euro is equal to 1.08238 USD. So this is the main difference. Okay. Right. Okay. Having said that, let's see the master data. So in order to know which type of exchange rate we're going to use, we have the exchange rate master data, which is, it has an ID and a description. Okay, so here we're going to see M, which is standard translation at average rate. Now, what is an average rate and what is a closing rate? Average rate is the rate used for P&L account balances, and closing rate is the rate which is used for balance sheet account balances. Okay, so, and we have the currencies, which each country's currency has an ID and the description. For example, GBP, British pound, INR, Indian rupee. So there's an ID, a 3-character ID assigned to each currency, and you have the description as well. Right. Now, moving on to the LTMC template, this is how it looks. And it asks for the exchange rate type, and I've given it as M. What does M stand for? M stands for the exchange rate type standard translation at average rate. That's what M stands for. And I'm converting the from currency is USD, the to currency is INR, and the date at which the entry is valid or is 01/01/2023, and the direct quoted exchange rate is 6.54321, and the from currency is 100 units. So 100 USD is equal to this exchange rate into 1 unit of INR. So that's what the translation is. So 100 USD is equal to 1 into 6.0, which is the same thing. 100 USD is equal to 6.54321. Okay, and this is these 3 columns are for direct quotation, and the remaining columns is for indirect quotation. First of all, we're going to see how to do at any given point. You can give only one, either a direct quotation value or indirect quotation value for this line item. However, you can create another line item, but the date should be different so that you don't mix it up. To begin with, let's give this as a separate line, and I'm going to populate these values for direct quotation. Perfect. Okay. Now, the next Excel sheet gives you the indirect quotation, which is, again, M rate, USD, INR, which is the to currency, USD is the from currency. The date is 01/02, February 2023. I'm not going to populate the direct quotation columns, fields. Then for the indirect quotation, I've given 95.00 as the indirect quoted exchange rate, and the ratio for the from currency, 1 unit of the from currency to 1 unit of the to currency. All right. So 1 USD is equal to 95 into 1, which is 95 rupee Indian rupees. So that's what I'm trying to indicate here, right? So this is the indirect quotation values. So we've seen two templates. One is for the direct and one is for the indirect. Now, let's log into the system, remote server, connect. We're connecting to the remote server. Now we have to log into S4Hana. Okay, LTMC. So before we go into LTMC, let's see the T-code table, SE16, to view the table contents. And type in T-cur, T-C-U-R-R. And here, I'm going to check whether, so these are the exchange rates, which I told you, the master data, which you've seen in the Excel file. So these are I'm going to check whether the value exists for USD to INR and valid from date. I'm going to check whether there's value existing for this. So enter the values and click on. So there's zero records existing in the system. Let's just see how any other record will look like. So let me, for 2022, there's one record. Okay. Click on execute. So this is how it looks. So the client is 800. So if this is client 800. Okay. And the exchange rate is M, which is standard exchange rate for closing, sorry, average. And then the USD from currency, and the to currency is INR, and the date is this. The exchange rate is so, and the ratio is 0:0. But we are more worried about this. Okay. Right. So this is how the data looks for 2022 in the table, T-cur table. But for 2023, there is no records existing. So we can go ahead and, so I'm click on number of records. There's no records existing. So we can go ahead and upload the template. Okay, we'll revisit this after we finish the template upload. Now, let's go into another session, LTMC. Right. Create a project. Forex Direct, and the transfer options, leave it as transfer from file, and the mass transfer ID is generated by the system, leave it as it is. Data retention time, leave it blank. Click on create. All right. Now, this will show you the list of all the standard master data and transaction data available. Scroll down and find foreign exchange rate. There you go, exchange rates. And click on open. Warning, in order to facilitate the transfer of data, the migration object will be copied to the migration project. Note that this may take some time, no problem. It's just a warning. If it's a warning, you can proceed further. If it's an error, then you're stuck there. You can't proceed further. So click on OK. All right. And here you have the migration object details. So the migration project is Forex Direct, and the name is exchange rate. And that's the template we're going to upload, or the master data we're going to upload. Dependencies, this project object does not have any dependencies to other objects. Then the default view is standard view. Active view is also standard. So the source files. So what we've seen here, this is the template which I've already downloaded, and so that I can explain it to you, populate the values and explain it to you. I've already done that. So what we're going to do in the real time, you would be going into this project, clicking on this download template, and it would download, and it'll ask you to save, where to save. And once you save that, you will have this template in your folder. Okay, so from here, so for example, let me go to here. So this is the folder I've downloaded, and I've populated the values. And here I'm going to change it to 3. Save. Yes. So in this template, once you've downloaded, you got an instruction sheet, you got a field list sheet, and an exchange rate sheet. So this exchange rate sheet is where you populate all the values which you want to upload into the S4HANA system. The introduction sheet gives you an overview of what S4HANA is, how, what's the file size, and what's on premises and what's on cloud. All these details it will give you. The main important detail is that you can migrate data into S4HANA Cloud. The default size of an XML file is 100 MB. If it's zipped, several files together, then it can go up to 160 MB. All right. If you want to add, zip file must not exceed 160 MB. All right. So this, you can just go through. It's all relevant information to data loading, but these are all common information. Then the field list sheet gives you the list of all the fields in this exchange rate sheet, and it also tells you whether it is mandatory or not. Okay, this is metadata, data about data. So the first field is exchange rate type. So if I go here, see exchange rate type, and it's mandatory. The type is text and the length is 4. Then the second one is from currency. It's also mandatory. Text 80. To currency, it's mandatory. The type is text and the length is 80 characters. Then the date from which entry is valid is also mandatory. It's of date type. And the next 3 fields are related to direct quotation. And the last 3 fields are related to indirect quotation. These are not mandatory, which means they're optional. And the type is number, and the length is 9 before the decimal, and after the decimal, 5 characters, 5 numbers, 5 digits. Okay, so we can see the same structure here horizontally. And so all the mandatory fields will have an asterisk at the end to denote that it's mandatory. Okay. If it's not mandatory, then you won't have a value, or you won't have an asterisk at the end. See here, there's no asterisk at the end. So this is an easy way of finding out. Instead of looking back into the field list sheet, you can just check. If it has an asterisk at the end, you have to populate that value. That field should have a value, or else the system will throw an error message. If it's optional, if you have the information, you can populate it. If you don't have it, the system won't complain. Okay, right. Now, so I've saved this file. Yes. Close this file, and it's there in this new folder. All right. Now, going back to the LTMC project. Okay, so I'm going to upload that template, what I've populated. Click on Browse. Go to where you've placed the file and select that file. You can give a description for X. Upload. And you can give comments as well. For direct code. For direct quotation, and click on upload. So your file is uploaded, and this is the description you've given, and this is the size of the file, the user, and the last change on date and time. So click on this circle before not active and click on activate button. So your file has been saved successfully. Now click on start transfer. So it's saying a warning message, data from all files that have the status not started or in process will now be transferred. Are you sure you want to continue? It's just a warning message. Click on OK. Now, data validation in progress. So it's validating the data. Data validation takes some time to complete. You can wait for the validation to complete or leave this window. If you leave this window, the current process continues in the background and you can resume at any time. But by the time we finish reading this, the process is completed 100%. So click on close because it's just one record. But if it's in the real time, if it's many records, then you can think about running it in the background. So let's see here. There are 4 stages or 4 steps. The first step is validate data, where the data will be validated. The validation checks the consistency of the data source, the source files, or the staging tables. Review the notification from validation and correct inconsistent values found in the data source. Okay, so that's the validate data. Okay, the next stage is convert data. The third step or stage is simulate import, and the fourth is the final one where it executes the import and writes it to the database. So we're at the first stage or first step right now, validate data, and we have the steps which the system has performed and the priority and the created on date. So here it says it started the process, some value is missing translation combination, added maintained translation value, and then it ended the process for this XML file. And the priority is information. If it's information, it's just nothing but a warning or an information given to us, so you can proceed further. However, if you see error here, then you have to stop, go back to your file, correct those issues, whatever is mentioned here, and reload, re-upload or upload the file again and see whether the system is accepting after validation of the data. So here it's just information. Click on next. All right. Now we're at the second step where it says convert values. So the LTMC tools gives us a chance now. Do you really want me to push the data which is in your XML file into the S4HANA database, or do you want to do last minute changes? So LTMC tool is giving us a chance, and it's saying these are the two fields which you can change. The first field is M. The source value in your XML file is M. The target value is this. Do you really want this to be the target value, or you can change it? I'm happy with the target value, so I click on save, but I can change it if in the last minute, if there's some mistake which I've done in the XML file and I want to change it, I can change it now. It allows me to choose from the list of all the exchange rates which is available in the system. It allows me, but I don't want to change right now. I'm happy with M, so I click on save. So it takes some time. It's taking a long time. Just have to wait. Okay, that's done. Let's go on to the next one. And it's saying, so these are the source value from your XML file. Do you really want the target value to be the same, or do you have last minute changes? Have you changed your mind? Is it okay? Then I'm saying I want to leave it as it is. So click on save and select all the lines and click on confirm mapping values. And it says confirm mapping values. You are about to confirm all mapping values. By choosing OK, you confirm that you have verified the correctness of all the target mapping values. Yes, I click on OK. And that's done. All tasks processed. Click on next. It moves to the third step, which is simulate import. Data simulation in progress. Data simulation takes some time to complete. You can wait for the simulation to complete or leave this window. If you leave this window, the current process continues in the background and you can resume at any time. And by the time we finish reading this again, it's just one record. So the process has been complete 100%. Click on close. So again, it tells you the steps of what and all it has done. So it has started, and the message, one table record plan to update, and this is the line, system adjustment end, and it has ended. And if you see here, the priority is all information, which means it's just giving me information, or it's just letting me know what it has done. If there was error under this priority heading, then I have to stop and go back to my file and check what the error is. Based on the error message displayed here, I have to go and correct my file. But here, it's just information. So I can click on next. So I'm in the third step, simulate import, and then next. I will go to the fourth step, which is execute import. So it's being data import in progress. Data import takes some time to complete. You can wait for the import to complete or leave this window. If you leave this window, the current process continues in the background and you can resume at any time. It has completed because it's just one record, and click on. So at this stage, whatever I've put in the file gets populated into the database, which is the TCAR table, and click on close. And again, there's only information, which means it tells me what it has done, and there's no error message. So I've come to the last step. Everything is okay. Click on finish, and I'm done with the migration of one record of direct quotation for foreign exchange into the TCAR table. So that's done. It's finished. So I can go back to, I can come out of that LTMC window, and I can go into the TCAR table. So previously, when we saw for M exchange rate for USD, INR, and we saw for this, we clicked on this, there was zero. The number was 0 here. But now, since we've uploaded, there's one record available. So click on close and execute. And here you go. So it's M USD, and this is the value. So what we have uploaded is 100 is to, let me show you that file. Direct exchange. Open. So we've loaded 100 units of USD is equal to 1 into 6.54321 units of INR. So if 100 units, 100 USD is equal to 1 into this, which is 6.54321 INR, how much is 1 USD equal to? Divide this by 100. That's what you get here. 0.06543. Okay, so this is how we see the values, right? Okay. Same way, please try for the indirect quotation and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. See you in the next